newest change, but I would assume that this still works. But keep in mind that your listings, your videos, everything that you want to say is going to get the best exposure by you simply putting that out there as a status update, okay? And that's going to go out and get distributed to everybody's feeds. If you create tab after tab after tab with information, people aren't going to go look at it because they just don't check back on your website after they've used it, after they've become a fan of it once. But you do want to go ahead and remove the unnecessary tabs that you're not using. If you're not using reviews and discussion, delete those off the. They now appear. Again, they used to be called tabs because they appeared across the top. Now they appear on this side screen. And so, for instance, I should probably remove this deals tab because I'm not using that currently. I've only got a couple on here. I've got welcome, photos, events, and I use all those, so I just leave them up. But I do see a lot of people who have a ton of tabs on here that they're not actively using, and you need to remove those. The final thing, another change that big change that Facebook did was it added this photo strip across the top of the of your fan page. Okay, and I suggested to Jim that we come up with a customized image like this, and that Jim really utilized these photo tabs. If I could go over to my rental website, my McClellanville website is basically just sort of randomly showing pictures that I've done. But on my rental website, if I go over here real quickly, I just simply uploaded an image of each home that I manage. And the bad thing is that these constantly are randomized. Okay, so you can't like do something really creative like put words all the way across because they're just going to get jumbled every time you do that. Okay, but you can do single ideas, and that's sort of what the Real Estate Tomato did, which I'll show you here in a minute. But like if I just click on this picture here, it's going to show a bigger form of the picture, and you can, all right, I don't know, there, okay, it just didn't load properly. But anyway, and then in the comments of the picture, I put a link, so somebody could click this link and be taken directly to my website that has that information on there. So you can utilize these in a marketing manner if you're creative about it. Again, the Real Estate Tomato, I'm sure most everybody in this class is a fan, but we created, individual icons, and when you click one of these, it shows the full image. This is all one single image, okay? But it, well, I got off track. Those are images that we have hidden, but this is all one image, and then down here, Jim wrote in the comments field, he put a link for each one, okay? So custom websites, and then it takes you to products page on our website. So think about how you can leverage those. I don't know what's going on here now. Again, it's there's 5 across the top, and they do randomly display. If you have 7 calls to action, it's fine. They're going to rotate out, but it's only going to show 5 at a time, okay? And it's going to be 5 random ones out of that 7. Let's talk a little bit about the content, and I've got several slides for this, but again, before you write several different, before you promote your page, I recommend writing several different types of messages that symbolize the type of content that you're going to write, okay? Maybe you upload a dozen pictures that represent the kind of posts that you're going to be writing, and you just sort of promote, you put up an event, and you put up, whatever it is that you're going to be writing about. We'll talk a lot about those sort of ideas, but put those up and then push your page out to somebody. That type of content can make all the difference. I saw a fishing guide probably a couple of months ago I was like on Facebook all day long while he was doing this, and literally I saw when he created the new page because I was a friend of his, and he uploaded a single awesome fishing video that he had made, and I watched that video get passed around socially, and just saw the likes on it building up, and then I checked back on his fan page like an hour later, and he had 100 fans. 2 hours later, 300 fans. By the end of the day, he had like 500 fans, all from a single awesome video that he posted. And so some pretty amazing things that you can do if you just start off with the right content, because things really start rolling socially, and we call that going viral essentially. Um, some people will want to see your content before they like it. I'm one of those people. But at the same time, I know when I run advertising, a vast majority of people will like my advertising, meaning they're basically opting in for my message without ever even visiting my page. So there's all sorts of folks out there. But in the end, if they don't like your message, then whether they knew about it in the beginning or they found out about it later, they're going to not be a fan of yours at some point. Respond to other people's comments in a timely fashion. Thankfully, Facebook has it all set up so that not only does it email you when people comment on your fan page, but it also emails you when other people leave content on your website and all sorts of things like that. So it's all set up to notify you now, unless you deactivate those email notices in Facebook settings. Encourage close friends and family to like your status. This is something that you can choose to do if you want, but I'm going to talk about how this helps you out briefly. But it can definitely go overboard quick if you tell somebody who doesn't fully understand it to like things and they just go and like everything all at once. Then it doesn't look natural, and obviously people are going to sort of call you out on that. So if you've got 10 friends and maybe you email them privately and just say, hey, I'm just launching this, and that plan that we had talked, or that page that we had talked about earlier, I really appreciate any time if you guys saw content that you'd like, if you just give it a thumbs up. That way other people will be encouraged to do the same thing. And then finally, I think it's really important that you actually consider limiting the number of postings that you do. My personal feeling is that you shouldn't be posting more than 2 times a day. It really does depend on what type of things you're posting, though. But I mean, even the 365 things to do websites, they're not posting more than twice a day. They're posting on a really, really consistent basis. But are there exceptions to this? I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's got an awesome fan page that he updates 20 times a day with houses for sale or something, and he's got a core audience and they love it, but that page wouldn't be for me. I wouldn't be able to put up with that many updates that they're constantly in my feed. Okay, even the ones that I'm like on the edge of my seat waiting for somebody to post again, I wouldn't like it if they were posting 3 times a day. Let me read a comment from somebody. Ark, we're going to talk about the auto posting in a minute here. So we'll talk about that here in a second. So let's talk a little bit about what to post. Ideally, like I said, if you decide to go the route of like a hyper-local page where you can post things that are all sorts of things that are going on in your community, then you've got a much wider field. But what I do always tell people is make sure that your Facebook fan page is a supplement to, not a carbon copy of, your blog. Okay? If you put up just word for word, all it is every article you wrote on Facebook, then yeah, you're going to have some people that like that. They're going to find that that's a more convenient way to do that. But more often than not, these are the ghost pages that I'm coming across, is the ones that people are setting up to automatically post. I mean, the Real Estate Tomato, we have the technology. We can set stuff up to automatically post, but we choose not to. And if you just simply look at the benefit, I'm able to write a message here that has sort of a sales pitch in it. I'm able to choose the image. That's not a good example. But here, well, Jim didn't do it there. Let's find another example of a post. Here we go. And this is somebody else writing. But you've got this content which is in addition to the this is technically metadata of your website, and you've chosen an image to put in there. That sells it so much better than these auto posting techniques. And so really think about that. You can also choose the time that it posts, and I'm going to talk about that here in a moment as well. But think about pictures, news, create events. Don't go creating events for other people's events without permission. I see a handful of agents, not a ton, but sometimes I'll see agents start creating events, for people that I know that they have no authority to do that, and they're just trying to do that to promote their own page, and that's a really bad direction to go. But if you're working closely with another business trying to help them out with their Facebook presence and they give you permission to post those events, then absolutely you can do that sort of stuff. You can also just promote other people's events, okay? Put up polls, and a poll doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just a question, okay? I'll sort of demonstrate a couple of these examples on my website in a moment here. Do videos for events, hold contests, post anything that's sort of a time or a money saver for people. Do how-to videos if you've got a certain type of thing that's going to help demonstrate something that would be really useful to vast majority of your audience, then create some sort of how-to video or steps. Hold a caption contest. Do posts about local interest. Post your own thoughts and observations. Think about those beforehand. Think about making sure it's not a thought that says I'm eating Cheerios for breakfast. Okay, that's not a thought that's going to be helping your business grow. But post thoughts and observations that are related to real estate, that are timely and that are professional and that have a good core thought process behind them. Upcoming things to do. Spotlight on businesses or spotlight other Facebook fan pages, and then do video interviews and things like that. Another really good technique is using this @ symbol, and I'll show you a way that you can use that here in a moment. But let me go ahead and just jump on here. I don't want to make it seem like my page is by any means a perfect example of what you should be doing, but I'm just going to use this as an example to sort of show you the different types of content that you can post. Okay, so I've already showed you, this. I'm using this photo strip basically just to sort of randomly project photos. All I did was I went through and X'd out a couple that I didn't want to appear in that random feed. But the most recent post I've got here says, this is sort of real estate news. Okay, it says there's now 6 McClellanville rentals to choose from, including the newest edition, Palmer's Point, returning from 7-month sabbatical in April. Okay, this is an example of that @ Okay, this links over to my Facebook McClellanville Rentals page, and the way you do that is simply type in @ and then if I want to do @real estate tomato, I just start typing. And so I could say, real estate tomato is such a great business, and hit publish, and that's going to put a link to the real estate tomatoes profile. What it's also going to do is actually appear on the real estate tomatoes fan page. Okay, now it's not going to go out in their feed, so you're not going to get as much of an exposure as you can. But let me in fact show you, and you can get it yourself in trouble, I'm sure, doing this by doing it on people that don't want it. But for instance, a couple of days ago, I did one for my rental website that says McClellanville rentals are the perfect natural backdrop for visitors of the Southeastern Wildlife Exposition next weekend. So I'm promoting this event to my audience, but I'm also anyone that's that's on this this website's fan page and looking through their feed, not receiving their feed, but anyone that's looking through their feed is also going to see this a link back to my website. Okay, so it's a neat technique to do to sort of cross-populate content. This was just sort of a random observation. I've got 2 things where other people posted content that I left up. It wasn't spam. It was legitimate things going on in my community, so I left that up. Here's another example of one of those @ symbols. I said, at Can Do Adventures is in McClellanville, South Carolina this weekend, planning for their annual Palmetto Swamp Fox, blah, blah, blah. And I put a link to an old post that I had written on my blog. So this is sort of news and a posting content. I was just reading a question. Okay.